roots and culture. I tell the massive if you remember Jah. That's all I am dealing with.
Greetings and welcome to Jesse I Interviews. I'm Jesse I, and I'm a reggae DJ and radio announcer from Naarm, aka Melbourne, Australia. I began this podcast as a way of showcasing some of the many reggae, dancehall and related interviews that I've conducted over the last 20 to 30 years. Unlike the versions that may have appeared on the radio at the time, I'm presenting these interviews here completely unedited, even including any incidental conversation before or after the actual interview itself. Sometimes this is just me fiddling with the recording levels and telling the subject about my radio program, but at other times it provides a little behind-the-scenes glimpse into an artist's personality, and I think it can be quite interesting. My intention here is less about presenting a slick interview package and more about providing a historical record, contributing to an oral history of reggae, dancehall and Jamaican music. If you're interested in supporting the podcast, please note you can become a Patreon at patreon.com/Jesse_I_interviews for as little as $2 a month, and that helps me to cover the costs of producing this, and it also provides a bit of moral support as well. This might have fallen by the wayside a while ago if it wasn't for the support of the patrons, so big up who for big up. I produce this podcast on the unceded lands of the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and I want to pay respect and acknowledge them because I think it's important that we remember the history that these lands have and recognise the First Nations peoples who are still here and still fighting for their rights. This episode features the first of two interviews I want to showcase with the singer Luciano, recorded on my first trip to Jamaica back in 2002. Next episode, I intend to feature another interview with both Luciano and his longtime friend and touring partner Mikey General, recorded in 2007. I think Luciano is one of the most important singers in reggae music over the last few decades, particularly in the 90s when he helped bring roots and culture and Rastafari back to mainstream Jamaican music. I feel like we don't hear much about him these days. I don't know if he's just taken for granted now or he's less relevant than he used to be, but for me he remains one of the greatest voices in reggae music. I don't think you'll ever attend a Soundclash anywhere in the world and not hear Luciano play on dubplate, and he's always killer. If you've listened to my interview with Jack Scorpio, you might recall the story of how I came to interview him on my very first day in Kingston back in 2002. This interview was recorded just an hour or two after that one, as Jack knew that I was a huge Luciano fan, and he rang him up, told him to come straight over. The next thing I knew, there I was sitting in Jack's office above Black Scorpio recording studio, interviewing the messenger himself. So let's get into it. Jesse I interviews Luciano, July 2002. I didn't really know if this was going to happen. I don't have any questions prepared ahead of time. I'll just
you move natural, you know?
Yeah. Alright, so...
What's your name again?
Jesse.
Alright.
Yeah, Jesse I.
And
Mark.
Give thanks.
Mark, he's not part of the sound system or the radio.
Okay.
He's just a brethren.
Yeah.
He knows the Jamaican running, so he's been my guide.
Give thanks.
He's been coming here since '88.
Bless him.
This is my 8th trip.
Alright, well that's good. That's good.
He's my elder that's taking me around.
That is good.
Yeah, so I'll read a little intro as if it's going to air, but I can edit it before I put it to air. So if you want to, if there's anything you don't want me to broadcast, just say, and I'll leave it at. With me right now, I have the messenger, a man called Luciano. Thank you very, very much for speaking to us here at Chant Down Babylon.
Yes, greetings, Brother Jesse. Good to speak with you.
Don't really need to move the mic.
It's a blessing, man. Good to be here, you know. Greetings, Australia, Melbourne.
Let me try that.
The messenger, the Kabbalah, man.
Let me try that again with the levels. It'll work best if we just
Okay, yeah, man, natural.
it picks up everything in the room.
That is good.
Alright. With me right now I have the messenger himself, Luciano. Thank you very, very much for joining us here on Chant Down Babylon.
Bless the love, Brother Jesse. Give thanks, you know, that I take the time out to come all this way to come and speak with you. It's good to be here.
Yes.
Bless the love, Australia.
Give thanks.
It's a messenger, you know.
Luciano, I always like to start my interviews at the beginning, see where an artist has come from. Could you tell us a little about where you were born, what life was like growing up for you as a youth?
I was born in the countryside of Jamaica, in a place called Manchester, the more central part of Jamaica, you know. Lots of hills, and I grew up learning to carry water in my head and so on, and going with my father to the field, going from a very humble family. 9 of us, 5 girls and 4 boys. I'm the 7th child. My father was an evangelist, and my mother is like a midwife.
Right.
So I grew up learning the ways of righteousness. Like my father was always teaching us in the Bible, and even the guitar. He would always be playing the music. So I grew up with a love for music and for the Word of God. I passed through with my scholarship, went to high school, Manchester High. Was successful with 3 subjects, maths, English and biology. Graduated, couldn't get a job. I decided to go to the market to help with my brother. One of my brothers, he was going to the market at that time. I went with him. So I started selling oranges in the marketplace. And from that stage, I used to still carry along my guitar with me. By this time, I have mastered my guitar and realized that I had a gift. So with this acknowledgement, I move on from the market scene into Kingston, where I know there are a lot of studios and so on. By this time, I'd learned a couple songs. I've written some myself, and I did a couple cover versions and so on. So I was more or less prepared. But even coming to town, I still got a skill, because I realized I needed some skill to survive.
Yeah.
So I went into upholstering, and for about 3-4 years I was in upholstery, and from then, you know, I started going to after work in the evenings, I would go like studio. I find some time to go to studio. I would take a day off out of the week and go to the studio. But it was always in me from the days of church and so on. I always loved to sing, and I grew up to love the guitar, so I always learned to pick on my guitar.
Yeah. You mentioned something there, a word I didn't know. It said you were there for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I was there doing upholstery.
Upholstery.
Yeah, like furniture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha. It's just a Jamaican accent.
Yeah, man. Okay.
Alright, so what was your first real breakthrough in the music business?
My first breakthrough was more like, well, because to me, when you have managed to sing or complete a 45, it's like a great achievement, because it takes a certain amount of confidence and discipline to break that ice. And to me, once you've broken that ice, it's like you're ready for other things. From one song, you move to one album, from one album to another. So it's like everything else, you know. So after I did the first song in 1992, it was Ebony and Ivory, a song that I did for Earl Hales of Aquarius Records at that time. Okay. Ebony and Ivory is a song which tells of the it's one of Stevie Wonder's and Paul McCartney's. Okay. Come on. Ebony and Ivory stick together in perfect harmony. You know, side by side on my piano. It's like the philosophy behind that is that there's so much love on the piano keys, because even though they are black and white, there's so much harmony on the piano. And I saw a lot of song. I saw a lot of message in that song, so I did it as my first song. You know.
Right.
Yeah. So, but after shopping around to find a proper, like a stable or a label, I went to a New Name with Mr. Castro Brown at that time. I did a couple tracks with him, and still like songs like Slice of the Cake, Give Love a Try, and a couple others. But even then I was still not satisfied. I was still searching to find a stable or a label that I could work out or work through. So even at that time I met up with Mr. Freddie McGregor. I went with him to the studio, we did some work, and before you know, we had completed an album which was called Shake It Up Tonight. That came out about somewhere in 93, the ending of 93, preparing to go to 94. And even at that time, I was trying to work out a thing with Mr. Freddie McGregor, but he being an artist himself, had to be on the road sometimes. So I got frustrated at one time, and I was still shopping around. I met up with another promoter, another producer, Mr. Sky High from Mama Productions. Yeah. There I did a couple tracks with him, and before you know, we had completed another album which he called Don't Get Crazy. It was released later I think about 94, around that time.
Right.
By this time, I was still hoping to find a settled label. And I heard about Exterminator, which is run by Mr. Philip Burrell. And I went there, and like in the early part of 93. And from then, I started doing songs like Poor and Simple, One Way Ticket, To Judge Be the Glory, Wicked Happy Runway, and started doing some great songs. Chant Down and, Chant Out. And I realized that Fatis and I had a great link in terms of communication as an artist to a producer and vice versa. By this time, he identified certain talents in me and we started working. So I did song like It's Me Again, Jah. So It's Me Again, Jah was really, One Way Ticket firstly.
Yeah.
One Way Ticket did a great, it opened many gates for me. But Shake It Up Tonight, as I said, was released by Mr. Freddie McGregor on the Big Ship label. Went, I think, Shake It Up Tonight went #1 in the UK charts for about 7-8 weeks. So I got my first big break, like I say, in UK. Even though in the scene in Jamaica I wasn't fully recognized. And after a while I got a song like It's Me Again, Jah. And start coming up with this song like One Way Ticket, and then you realize the people started to hear a little more about me. Many of the Jamaicans thought that I was coming out of England, that I was born in England. When I said Manchester, they thought it was Manchester in England. I had to clarify that one evening on an interview, So in terms of, that's how my recognition, my break in the music fraternity has been.
Right.
It's more like a compilation or a combination of efforts. It wasn't just one producer or one song, It was a combination.
Right.
Meanwhile, Shake It Up Tonight was taking over control in the UK. Fatis of Exterminator was making sure we're laying foundations in Jamaica with One Way Ticket and It's Me Again, John, Lord, Give Me Strength, and So it's a combination of efforts. We really give thanks.
Yeah.
But I think things really culminated with me when I was working with Fatis Exterminator label exclusively. At that time, I stopped voicing for other producers.
Yeah, it was around 95
From the ending of 93 going,
that you started working
we started
with
working with Fatis
Yeah.
exclusively.
Yeah. In Australia, personally, like, it was around 95 that I first started to hear Luciano tunes on the radio. That's before I was living in Melbourne, because I grew up, I can edit this now. I grew up in the bush, like 300 kilometres away from Melbourne, 800 kilometres from Sydney, just in the middle of nowhere.
Blessed one.
And beautiful place to grow up, but you couldn't hear reggae music there.
I can
so
just imagine, yeah.
I'd come to the city to see my girl whenever I could, because she lived in Melbourne. This is when I was in year 12, and I'd always be listening to the radio. It's alright, Jack, I'm going to edit this out anyway. And It's Me Again, Jah, and Who Could It Be Now, and Give Me Strength. They were the songs that I kept hearing.
Yeah, man.
And at that point, I was only really in the 70s reggae, like Third World,
Okay.
Bob Marley, Bunny Wailer, Peter Tosh, Black Uhuru. And it was those tunes where I thought, there is good modern reggae. And it helped open up for me, and then came Sizzler, Praise You, Jah.
Yeah, man.
And that introduced me to the ragga style.
Give thanks.
But anyway, I just want to
That is good, man.
Yeah.
That is good.
pay
Around
respect
95.
for helping me
Yeah, man.
come into.
Blessings.
But speaking of coming up through the early days in the 90s, it seems to me that reggae in the late 80s and the early 90s, personally I'm not a big fan of most material from that time. The rhythms I don't like so much, and the lyrics, slackness. It seems like consciousness really went out the window. And early
Yeah,
on,
man.
like, I know Tony Rebel was there, I know Garnet Silk was there, man like maybe Admiral Tibet, but it seems like there weren't really many other people at all singing cultural, conscious reggae.
Yeah.
What was it like as an artist like yourself coming with a conscious message?
It was
in
hard.
those times?
It was hard because I found out I had to break with melodies. I had to find some songs that the people were familiar with. I found out that was one way I could enter into the music fraternity. I found out that people would love to hear melodies like old songs that they grew up with, but in different style, and I would put my own verse to it. Like, even Lord Give Me Strength is from one of those old, they call it blues. you know. And this man was talking about the situation when, as a farmer and so on, I was singing, Lord, to make another road, like he was saying, to make another road, to build a nice road. So I just find my own way and put my words to it and find a verse and set it. So it's a little experiment and a little creativity that I put into play right there, you know. But I find out that by singing the melodies that people always, like, they were acquainted with, it was easier to bridge the gap between you and producers, because producers tend to have a quick ear for melodies that they have already heard.
Yeah.
But after a while, when I met up with like Fatis and Sky High, I must say, Sky High and Mr. Freddie McGregor, because I did Shake It Up Tonight, which is what a cover version. But I did a lot of songs, original. You see, when you can find people who really appreciate, and you know, like people from the old school, like Mr. Freddie McGregor, Sky High, and I was working out with Sly Dunbar, and you know, and Brother Robbie, and then Fatis would collect, Fatis would handpick some of the best musicians like Mr. Dean Fraser and so on. So I was really working amongst the maestro of the music, you know. So it was kind of easy to really come and experiment with my own songs.
Yeah.
So I think what really gave me the edge over like young artists coming is that I had good material. I could write songs because I read a lot and I try to, you know, put words on words. I love poems and so on, and I read the Bible, and I find out that if I can read the Bible and maintain some of those words in my mind and my memory, I could really put it to my song, you know. So it really has worked, because to me, every one of us here knows when we come across the truth, and when a producer comes across good material, he has an ear for it. Sometimes he might put his own rhythm or find his own color to it, but he has an ear for good music, you know.
Well, I know in the mid-90s you worked for Fatis sort of exclusively, right? You didn't work with so many other producers when you were working with Fatis. But then a couple of years back you started to work with more different producers?
Yeah, man.
What was the decision there?
Well, really and truly,
spread the wings?
after I split from Exterminator and started doing my own production and thing, I have been approached by many brothers who over the years I've known them, and like they would have loved to do some work with me.
Yeah.
And I just give them. To me, it's like sharing that gift that God has given to the producer. Give him a one song or even my album. Make him share a part of this. I know what I've got, and I know there's greater even yet to come. So when a brother comes with genuine spirit, like Mr. Scorpio here, you know, over the years he has always been wanting, you know, like some songs, to work with me. But because I was exclusively recording with Fatis, I didn't have much opportunity or chance, because I was really more exclusively working out of Exterminator. So this was to me a chance to share my gift with these great brothers over the years who have been there for me, you know, in my corner. So I don't feel it's wise though to go around too much, because I feel that you know, there has to be some form of focus or concentration. And so I know I get a lot of offers. People who always want to involve me with projects and so on. But you can weigh them all and, you know, come up with projects that are worthwhile, you know.
I heard something when you're in the middle of, you know, you got full hype and everything. I heard that you took off like a whole bunch of time and went up into the hills and just pulled back from the music business.
Yeah,
What's
man.
the story there? I've never heard the proper story.
You see, the truth is, after becoming involved in the fraternity, it takes a lot from me. It's subtracted from my family vibes and the natural life that I normally live. I have to become very busy, and this time is like dedicating to the work now. It brought home to me that I really needed a break at one time. That after being involved up and down, doing tours and getting ready to go on some more tours and so on, I realized that there was a lot of things happening in my life, in my family life. You know, brothers and sisters, you have to find that strange behaviors and so on. Jealousy comes in and a lot of things. So I realized that I needed a little time, a little space to really reflect and, you know, regroup and push forward, because you couldn't be heading down life's road just like that. Not because, you know, you're probably signed to a company You can't just do as you like. You have to find time to pray, to meditate. So I took the time out to go and connect back myself to my natural life, going to the river, going to see my mama and eating some real nice cooking and
Yeah.
playing with my friends and,
Yeah.
chilling out for a while. I'm disappeared out of the busy scene,
Yeah, you can't keep going down the road without your
No,
feet
man,
on the
you'll
ground.
crash.
Yeah.
I've seen many of the brothers who come with a good message, and they have good intention, but just because of the way the system set, because you have to know this, man. The system propel people to keep pushing you forward, and if you're not careful, you're moving too fast. You're moving ahead of the time. So there comes a time when we have to ease back and reflect a little, and that was definitely what I did.
Right.
It's like a sabbatical,
I interviewed Prince Allah once, and he said that he left the business. He left the business for like 9-10 years, and he just went up. I think he went up Bogo Hill and just read the Bible and just ate food, smoked herb,
Yeah, man.
reasoned, and
And a person-
then he came back to the business.
A person has the right. If he wanted to stay for 20 years, they have the right to do it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Other people taking their time to go and racing and all them things. Some people racing and killing of themselves. You have all bullfight and all them things, man. People letting out bulls and people in the streets and all them things. So instead of risking our life them with it, we take time out to really connect ourselves to the Father.
Yeah.
And then we come back, because we're not forced to the system, especially musicians and singers. We are like some angels who identify our true qualities, and that we are trying to share what we are. The people will not receive it to the fullness when you're here. Sometimes when you're gone that they realize your true value,
Like Garnet Silk's works get stronger and stronger.
That's it.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful though, my brother, that I could have managed to come into town. My first enter into town, I carried my little bag with 2 suits of clothes, coming to look at job. So I didn't have no intention that I would turn out to be a star or some messenger. But I had the talent in me. I had all my time coming up into town, driving. There was the power in me, waiting on the right maturity and the right time, and the cycle, the completion of the cycle. So everything goes with that, It's a time to sing, a time to write,
What about the name Luciano? Where did that come from?
But that name was given to me the name Luciano was given to me by Mr. Homer Harris, who was like the producer who found me, the first producer who found me. When all that time, when I was doing songs like Ebony and Ivory, he would like find some old songs to give me, like Oh Mandy, I remember all my life. I remember I did that song for him. And he used to come by the upholstering place. And he heard about me through one of his friends who was working at the upholstering. I was there singing.
Right.
And the brother heard me singing. His name is Philip. He heard me singing. And he said, "What? But you have a talent, man." And he said I should put something on a cassette, and he did that, and he brought it to Mr. Harris. Mr. Harris heard it, and he came there, meet me, and from then on, if he heard of any studio I was going, he would invite me, tell me, and after work I would go like to rehearsal, a band and so on. So it was really Mr. Harris who gave me that name, Luciano, because I used to go by the name Stepper John. That was my first stage name, 'Cause I made that name for
Stepper
myself.
John.
Stepper John,
Where did John come from? Because
Well,
your real name is Jephthah, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, through the man, when I came to town, and just the way I used to walk strong, they used to call me Stepper, Mud Stepper. They used to call me Mud Stepper. I tell them that, boy, I don't like the mud, but them guys say Stepper. But you know, if I one named Johnny Walker, I just say, alright, call me Stepper John then. And I just work with the name, man. It was going for a while, but when I told Mr. Harris, he decided we'd find a more impressive name. We had a selection of names from which we derived Luciano,
Why Luciano though? Like, is it?
Well, he just came up with the name, and I like it. And probably I used to love to wear felt hats, and I remember this show about Lucky Luciano who always have his felt. So probably that is what he saw in me. Because when he gave me that name, I said, "Well, Mr. Harris, that name sound away, And I said, I like the name, Luciano. I said, boy, I feel like I can work with that name, So I just work with it. Later on now, after becoming more involved, like spiritually, I realized the mission and see the seriousness of it. I say I have to find out the meaning of this name. So when I investigate it, Lucy, Luci, is a prefix which means light, and Luciano means bearer of the light.
Right.
Yeah, I look it up.
Right.
So when
Well,
I
you found that out after you.
it was after I became more involved spiritually in the mission.
Yeah.
And when I count the letters, you have Luciano, 7 letters, which is I find is a lucky is my number too.
Yeah.
7, because 7, I'm a 7th child from my mother and father. And, you know, so I work with that. 7 is one of my lucky numbers.
Okay. Well, of course, the other thing that people call you is the messenger.
Yeah.
And this, for those that don't know, and everybody listening to this radio show should know, but for those that don't know, what is the message?
Well, it was I who, after reading my Bible in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, it tells me about the last day, in the last days when God will send a messenger. You know, so I see myself in this, within my works, because I always read my Bible. And by reading this, it sent home something to me that this work that I'm doing, trying to spread a word of positiveness to help mankind to unite and, you know, see the need of finding the power within, tapping into the powers within. And when I read about Christ, like in Revelation, like in Ephesians chapter 3, and when I read about the power of the breath and all that, I realize that there is a work that we all must do. So, by doing my part in music now, trying to educate the people, I realize that I am playing. Actually, I have assumed this position as a messenger for the people. I take the message from the Almighty and give it to the people.
Yeah.
So, I titled one of my album, The Messenger. From then on, people just realize it. It's just catch on with the title and they call me Luciano. Yeah. But I like the title because it signifies humility also. I don't want to go as far as saying I'm a prophet or I'm a messiah or not like that. I feel better and feel, you know, in a more humble situation to say I'm a messenger.
Right.
A messenger of God.
Yeah.
Because I believe that there is a power in man. I think mankind, people are living wrong. I think that there's a lot of us eating wrong, and because of our bad eating habits, bad drinking habits, bad breathing habits, we are dying, you know, before our, you know, allotted time.
And we're taking the planet down with us.
And our bad eating habits causing destruction of the planet.
Yeah.
So we're really taking it down with us. So in my way, we have to find ways to educate the people and let them realize there's more to life than pursuit of vanity and wealth. You know, and the true prosperity is one that is gathered within the mind and conscience, within your knowledge, knowing that you live free and you live clean, you live good, you know, because even if you have acres upon acres of land and bars of gold, if you don't have love in your heart for people, you don't have happiness, you know.
Yeah. Well, as a singer and a Rastaman coming with such a positive message, what do you think of? It seems to me that, I mean, there's other Rasta artists now that I love and I play and I rate, but sometimes they sing songs that come with such a negative edge. It's like a hatred, particularly, you know, I don't want to call names, but you know, some of the anti-Batty Boy tunes where it just comes across like pure hate. What do you think about those sort of, you know, those sort of lyrics and that?
Well, right now I realize that there will always be people to hit out against these negative. To me, anything that is negative, we're gonna bring upon itself fire and judgment.
Yeah.
Right now, to my overstanding of the whole lifestyle of some people, especially you have some people who believe in homosexuality and all those things. Those things to me are wrong. I believe that those who have a feeling to rebuke, because the Bible says you can rebuke certain things, the Spirit will come upon people to rebuke all this kind of negative life, because you see the Father himself, great God of creation, burn out Sodom and Gomorrah. And he burn out all of the Babylon cities that have practiced negative liberty and erroneous lifestyle, transgress against the principles of righteousness, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I see where I don't have to linger upon these, because to me, to bother in these things and hanker my life, it's like bigging up these things.
Yeah.
So I find time now to shed the light to humanity, to beckon to them to see life as a more spiritual essence, that they can live more to more want to gratify the soul or the spirit other than satisfying the ego of man. Because the man cannot be tamed or pleased unless you use reason. You have to use reason to tame this man. This man, if you follow man, the body, the physical will always be wanting more and more. The more you get, the more you want. From sensation to vibration. You know? So it is good when we can govern ourselves. Now, my songs now that I sing is more focused and more emphasized upon getting people to look at life more spiritually. To see that we have to conquer. This is like a test that we all have, and we must find a way to rise above our greed, above our desires, rise above our sensation, and rise with truth and righteousness. Because only the word of God, as the Bible says, only the truth can set you free. When you know the truth, to know that, yes, I am a reflection of God, and I should be living according to the principles. I should be living according to the similitudes. I should be reflecting that goodness, that righteousness, that cleanliness. So in all things, in your dressing, in your eating, in your dealing with people, you're going to show that purity in your thought and in your actions. So right now, I see where over the years I've grown to be able to reason with people. I come across many different people. People of all different lifestyle and different culture, different denomination, different religion. And I find out that once you have love and you have that understanding, because God didn't send us here to judge anyone. We are here to really live and be happy and to make sure we live in love and harmony. But some people want to bring their lifestyle to other people, and which is not right. You cannot force. To me, you have to try and do your best, what you can do best. Because a man might be pointing to another man and say that man has dirty ways. You know. No, in my way, I cannot support no form of negativeness that involves witchcraft, sorcery, or sodomism, or larceny, or thievery. Anything to deal with dishonesty and unrighteousness. I cannot support that, because deep in my mind, I am always searching for truth, for freedom of spirit, for righteousness, for peace, for harmony. And so I penetrate more on this.
Yeah.
You know, because there are two ways to go about life. One man say he wants to rid the world of sin, so he wants to kill off all sinners. This is what Hitler and those men come about to say they do. Okay? No. A man like Gandhi say him want to rid the world of all this war, and so he comes with a peace symbol or a peace philosophy, and it has worked. I see where the peace worked, because they're just celebrating the other day in India how much years of liberation, emancipation through Mr. Gandhi, because he has done such a great work. And then I look at the work of Yahshua the Christ, of Jesus. I see the work of Emperor Haile Selassie. And I know that their works live on and on. But people like Hitler and all them, man, they don't have nothing to carry on their work. Their work is of death. So it rests there. Wait for. But works of righteousness now, they live on and on. So I want to borrow more upon righteousness.
Yeah.
Sing songs to tell people good and bad, negative and positive, black and white, rich and poor. Just tell them, say, we were created by God to live as one in love and unity. It's one breath of life, one universe, one God, one destiny. So when we address this matter now, all other lifestyles will fall under this umbrella of spirituality.
So how do you go about writing your songs? Do you sit down and to write lyrics, or does it come to you?
It comes naturally. It comes naturally, and I always try to walk with a decatone.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes a melody, you feel a melody, and you can, just put it on. Sometimes melodies come like, you'd see a bird sometimes just fly on top at the back on your back porch. You just see a bird from nowhere. Like how Brother Bob Marley would say, 3 little birds sat by his doorstep. This is how the melodies come. It's like spirit, So we have to sometimes have to be able to, if you cannot remember offhand, we take something like a decatone or, mini disc and, record it. But most of the time, songs come through experiences and relationship with people, by just living amongst people and see the way they live and, their lifestyle and sometimes their reaction towards you and your experience with man to man, people, humanity. You get a lot of inspiration from that. And then I read the Bible too.
Yeah.
So my songs are written out of a rounded situation, like a general flow of inspiration and experiences.
Just a little while back, you mentioned Jesus Christ. You mentioned Rastafari, Yahweh. That word, am I saying it right? Yahweh.
Yahweh, yes.
Because I know you have songs mention that. A lot of songs mention that. That's not a word I've heard many other artists use.
No, Yahweh.
It's an ancient name.
Yahweh is the ancient name for God.
That's what I thought.
It's a Hebrew name for the Creator.
Right.
Before the names like Jehovah and Elohim and all those names came into being. Now, Yahshua the Messiah is referred to as Jesus Christ. He is the one who came some 2,000 years ago within the light of Christ to teach humanity and to reconnect man to the Spirit of God that is within. And this is why it is in Luke 17 verse 21. It tells you that the kingdom of God is within you. Christ coming up on earth was not to come and die on no cross, because you can see, he, even though he was buried, he overcome. So his treading up on earth was to live, that I and I could live. Because by teaching us his principles, we should walk within his footsteps, like Peter walking on the water and never fall. So I'm saying, the Rastafarian faith, the true Rastafarian will embrace Christ as the foundation. Because first he came as a lamb that was slain, and then as the conquering lion who rules and reigns. In Revelation 19 it tells about one who comes with the name upon his vesture, King of Kings and Lord of Lords, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. Now His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia was coronated in 1930, the 2nd of November in Addis Ababa. He was crowned Emperor, King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. He's the one who has received that title. So we see where Christ, as was promised in the Bible, has been fulfilled in his kingly character. And this is what Brother Garnet was singing about, Christ in his kingly character. Okay. So now, when Christ was on the cross, after he was crucified, to me, this was a test to see if he was really immortal. It was the final test that every great master has to face, if he really has conquered death. So when they crucify him, juke him and take out all blood and everything. But in 1 Peter 3, verse 17, it tells you that when you suffer for righteousness in the physical, you are quickened in the spirit. So this is what happened in the third day. Because after he suffered to this way, shedding of his blood to prove to mankind of his love for humanity. Because he didn't have to come and sacrifice his life or sacrifice his freedom or his love or his happiness for this sufferation that he had to bear upon the cross. So even on the cross he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they have done. To me, even Christ, with all his powers of healing people and creating and calling dead from Sheol, he still acknowledged that there is a Father Spirit in us. So that's why I say, when we pray to say, Our Father, who art in Zion, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done upon earth as it is in Zion. Zion now is like our heaven is within that region of mind and thought, where when you govern mind and thought, you are ready to live in the kingdom of God. Because the kingdom of God transcends, it expands from right where you're standing to any part or any location in the universe. People are going out of space and having dinner same way and all that. See what I'm saying?
I know you're saying.
So, Yahweh is a God Yahshua is Christ in his lamb, as the lamb, and Emperor Haile Selassie is Christ as the
kingly
lion
character.
in his kingly character. And both Yahshua and Emperor Haile Selassie both pray. They both pray to Yahweh, I am that I am, who lives in every living thing upon creation, not just man, living donkey, dogs, butterflies, bees, in every living thing,
Plants
trees.
themselves, yeah.
Yes. So we must not get confused. Because one of the main things that is causing a lot of segregation amongst the people, why in Christianity you have so many different denominations, why in Rastafarian tradition you have so many different houses, is because of this philosophy of different gods. To me, God is spirit and truth. We have to serve God in spirit and truth. God is like the breath. God is like the light. Ultimate good. Any ultimate good that you can perceive of, in thought, in word, that is God. So a man who's perfect man is true reflection of God upon creation, but he still has to give account to the God of creation in order to stay alive. The breath that we take, who causes our heart to pulse, who have the pulse of our being regulated, who allows the blood to flow in our veins, who allows the lungs to expand and to contract. There must be a mind behind this. There's a mastermind that created us in a form and a fashion. You know?
Respect.
Give that.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
I might talk a lot, but I tell you, there's so much that you need to say just to clarify
Yeah.
and get it clear to the people out there. Because if they can take time out to see the truth that God is living in every one of us, they will take time to take care of other people. Because to kill a brother is like killing a part of you. You're destroying your own.
It's the same blood.
It's the same brother. It's the same flesh, same blood. So when you spill a brother's blood, it's the same blood that you're spilling. It's like you're still perpetuating the crucifixion of the Christ.
Yeah. That's one thing that I like try to keep in mind. You spill a man's blood on the ground, that's your great grandfather's blood, your great grandmother's blood.
Oh,
everybody
God.
that came before.
True.
It's their blood on the ground.
It's true. It's true. And the generations to come, blood.
Mm.
You know?
Alright. Can't keep you too long. We're looking, obviously, your career now has been long and distinguished, and a lot of accomplishments, achievements.
Give thanks.
Is there anything that you look back on that you feel particularly proud of, or?
Well, one of the great achievements to me is to be able to maintain my standard of positiveness.
Yeah.
That this to me is a good. Even if I've built monuments and I've set up offices, these are secondary. To me, the greatest importance is within maintaining my standard of positiveness
Right.
and being focused with it, good music, and being true to my people, being true to my creator. Because to me, everyone out there who errs, as in Jeremiah 23, it tells about the false preachers. There are a lot of false preachers out there that are leading their children astray. But they all have to give account. Because every man who encourages gun thing, he'll have to face the gun someday. Because the Bible says, if you live by the gun, you shall die by it. So there's no escape for the wicked man. I am happy. What gives me great joy is to see, even in the higher societies, they have acknowledged my works. Because my song, they have nominated New Day as one of the like album of the year
Right.
for the Grammy Awards. It was nominated, and in the high times they recognize my work. I know my work is far and wide, you know, and I know it's reaching out there. It's not my work, but it's like the work of the Father coming through me. But give thanks that I'm able to focus, because the Father is working through a lot of other people, but because they're not fully focused, the devil using them, some of them, too. You know.
Yeah.
Sometimes in between, like lunch break, the devil use them, you know.
Yeah. Well, you can talk words of truth and righteousness all day, but if you go and steal from someone at lunchtime, then that's, as Junior Reid would say, that's Satan
That is
in
true,
flesh
man.
right
That
there.
is true, man.
You can be
That
God
is
in
true.
flesh or Satan.
But one of the greatest things that because it tells you when the perfect man is one who first can control his tongue. Because it said once you can brag your tongue, then you can control other members of your body. The same way in which the very helm of the ship, that little small how you call it? What is it? Rudder.
yeah, what is that? I know what you're talking about. At the
Yeah, that small thing that turns the ship.
turn the whole ship.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a rudder. I think.
I think so, you know. Yeah, man. When you see even with the horses and the cows, they put harnesses in their mouth and they can control them. They put rings in some of the cows' nose and they can control them. But the tongue, it's the same in which if you can control this little tongue, you'll be able to control other parts of the body. I have proven that for myself. You know?
It's true. I believe it.
Yeah, man.
Well, okay. Well, we've done plenty of looking back. What does the future hold now for Luciano?
The future is very bright. Right now, I look forward to, expanding upon like workshops, youth clubs, setting up activities for other youngsters coming because I know it is definitely my mission.
Yeah.
And as time progresses, my inspiration broadens, my scope, my vision broadens. So I see better ways of doing my work. It's not just singing because singing is one aspect of getting the word out there, but you have to it take on to itself flesh now in the form of works and doing activities, having youth clubs, having the youths, some youths involved somehow in the youth communities, and I could only just start from like my home, Jamaica, where I was born then, and then I take it to other parts like Africa and so on, and anywhere where I have a strong fan base. Can still have something set up there. To me, people need something. People believe in what they hear and what they see, and this is why at all time my endeavor is to have to set an infrastructure and have a way by which the music is carried out there. I see myself doing like some documentaries later and might running some doing more evangelism.
Right.
Because I see where sometimes, technology and all these things, they get in the way. People need to be in close contact. Like when Jesus, or Jesus, seeing the multitude, he went into a mountain. It's almost expected that when he sees the multitude, he would go into a mountain, and he would deliver unto them words, parables, and so on. So we need more of a natural communication contact with the people. Sometimes you go to stage shows, the people are so far away. They put the stages high up and some high-end bars. It's like prison.
Mm.
I have to jump off some high place and I almost hurt myself to go and meet my flock. There's no shepherd who's gonna have your flock where you can stroke the sheep over the back, or be able to pat or even touch a hand or shoot. Man, it's crazy. So we need more like community workshops, like more college tours and so on. I want to do more of that, and this might not necessarily mean having a big entourage going around. I just need some very basic, essential workers, and you just have like workshop. You talk with the youngsters, and I think God has blessed me with that, and I can share it to the people. Because music has brought me to another level. It has taught me eloquence, clarity of speech, politeness, and diplomacy.
Yeah.
You know.
You can see that. You can see that. Yeah, I interview some artists, and like just the fact that I understand everything you say.
Yeah.
Some artists speak patois so fast.
Yeah, man.
And people in Australia listen to the radio, they're not going to understand
Right.
half of that.
You have to be able to
Everything you say
explain things.
will come across.
Yeah,
to me.
man. Give thanks, man.
The only word is upholstery that caught me.
Yeah.
That's the only one. But I understand you have a label with Mikey General as well, Kabbalah label. That's
Yes.
you and Mikey General. Right?
Yes, my brother. Very nice, brother. Brother Michael General has an album coming called Exalt Jah. Australia, you can look out for that one. It's on the Jah Messenger Kabbalah label. And we have like youngsters like Milton Blake, Babatunde, Bitter Roots, and we have some. We're looking around for young messengers.
Right.
Wherever we see the talent in them, because I can find them.
Yeah.
As time progresses, we're gonna have more like talent searches, and we have pop and variety
Yeah.
concerts. We have to find ways to get the youths involved,
Mm.
and it is one good way of getting them off the street and away from drugs and guns. You know, get them involved in activities, drama groups, dance groups, sports
Yeah.
clubs. You know, that's all the government needs to spend on.
Mm.
More community centers and so on.
Yeah.
Put their money instead of building prisons and all those.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, it seems to me this as somebody coming to Jamaica for the first time, see so many kids with nothing to do, and you see older people that don't want to do anything, and you think maybe if they had things to do when they were younger and they wanted to do things when they were young, maybe they wouldn't want to do nothing now.
Yeah, man.
Expect not to work and
That's a sad situation. I agree though that there are many out there that are lazy.
Mm.
Because in every country you're going to find lazy bones, you know. But the system, I don't think the system is set to really
yeah.
help or like.
Well, like you said, that you graduated and then you couldn't find a job.
Yeah,
I've
it
talked
was
to other
hard,
people
man.
Say they went to University of West Indies and studied for years,
Yes,
and
man.
they still couldn't get a job.
It's terrible. The system is not geared up on helping youngsters, really. It's more upon seeing like government rule and power.
Yeah, bigger heads
And bigger, and you know who can buy the biggest
biggest
housing scheme or set up whatever project or
oh, yeah.
you know. To me, we need more workshops. We need more centers. You know, I've tried my little best, but I can't do it all.
Mm.
And I know we have come to the realization that we have to find ways to involve the government somehow with our project.
Yeah.
'Cause it's not just a one man thing. It's a community thing. And we need the heads of government to become more involved with the youths in the communities. Because these are the same youths that they have to face the government, the law, the forces have to face with these youngsters. Because these youths on the street, before you know, they start carrying guns and, you know, pushing drugs. And they become dangerous. They find people dying and all them things. So we need to address these matters. You know, the music is one good way because I have really worked hard in this area. But I have sufficiently come to the realization that I need to extend this knowledge into other areas. You know, the time is right.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to say to the Australian Massive, the people down under?
Well, really, I want to tell my friends and families of Australia, land down under, that I'm coming soon, man. I look forward to coming there. That's one of the first thing I want to say about Australia. I'm coming soon. I've heard so many things about Australia. I've not gone there as yet. But I know when I land in Australia, it's going to be a wonderful time. You know, I just want the people to know that there is a God and there is hope for humanity. But we must first unite. We need to see that there's no need for segregation. It's philosophy of black and white. It's one disillusion. You know, we are one. It's one breath of life, one blood that flows through our vein. It's one God of creation. Let us unite. Blessed love. Jah guide and protect. The messenger.
Yes, that's that.
Yeah.
Give thanks. Thank you very much for joining us
Blessed
here at
brother,
Chant
blessed
Down
man.
Babylon.
You take good care. Brother Mark.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir. You take good care, man.
Beautiful. That's going to be a fantastic thing. We'll take up a whole radio show with
I
us.
tell you. They come from a land down under. They come from a land down under. When child don't play, Babylon run for cover.
Yeah, it works better.
They come from a land down under. They come from a land down under.
Beautiful.
They come from a land down under. When chant down plays, Babylon run for cover. Yeah, the chant down Babylon, you know. with Jesse I on PBS FM. Stay tuned.
Beautiful. Do one more to make sure.
Metro.
Yeah. Make sure.
Metro is a messenger, teaching the youth about roots and culture. And tell the masses them fi remember Jah. That's all I heard with I go. Metro is a messenger. Bless the love. This is Lucian the Messenger, and you're in tune to Metro on PBS FM. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Beautiful. Give thanks.
Yes, sir. Where must I find a place to live in this jungle created by mankind? Where will I lay my weary head? Tell me how I'll find a peace of mind.
Luciano speaking to me there from the offices of Black Scorpio on Malines Road in Kingston back in July 2002. Listening back to that one, I had to laugh at the end there as I asked him for a second jingle to make sure, as in make sure I got it recorded. But he thought I was asking for a jingle for somebody called Metro, and he did the whole thing from Metro. I guess thinking of Metro Media Sound System or something. I didn't even bother to correct him as I was a lot less assertive at this time, being so young and much more easily intimidated by Jamaican artists back then. That has definitely changed over the years. I think I've actually learned a bit of assertiveness from Jamaicans themselves, if I'm being honest. That's it for this episode. As I mentioned earlier, next time I'll be featuring an interview with Luciano and Mikey General together in the studios of PBS. It doubles up a little bit, of course, but it's a really good one, well worth the listen. Big shout to the Patreon supporters, the Don Armageddon Time, the Real General Empress Irie, me Idrin Tom Tanaki, and me Chargy DJ Pablito. Thanks for listening. Eyes every time.
Slew Sam soon wano, soon wano. No, my brother, no. Never test the child down sound, 'cause we will throw you down. Soon wano, no selector, no. Never test the child down sound, 'cause we will throw you down. Yeah, believe the Jesse I and Rats Crucial. It's a memory of the messenger, the good old days. Come and cry, believe the Melbourne, Australian people of the Almighty one day. Oh my God, believe the Jamaican brain, Baba Tune, oh wow, the messenger master. Let's do some sound, believe the John, stay strong, John don't sound. We beat another sound for Lord. Oh, Almighty Savior divine. We beat another sound for Lord. Chant don't sound, it's sounding so fine. Beat another sound for Lord. Oh, Almighty Savior divine. We slew another sound boy. Don't you take chant down for the joy. Look at the crowd, how they're dancing in the low. Look at them at one, when them here chant down sound so low. Even when you're feeling low and you don't know where to go, chant down and chant down sound. We say show them how the dance all the go. We slew another sound boy. Oh, Almighty Savior divine, we beat another sound boy. Yes, chant down sound, you're sounding so fine. Slew another sound boy. Oh, Almighty Savior divine, we beat another sound boy. Don't you take chant down for no joy. I feel it in my heart, feel it in my soul, the way on the dance on the road. Sound boys are lost and confusing their soul. Oh gosh, come and take control. Give me the melody so I can smooth some sound.
soundboard, Lord. Oh, Almighty Savior divine, we beat another soundboard.